I didn't need much. Just to be near them. To hear them laugh. To see my grandchildren experience the sea for the first time. To take a photo together, not for social media, but simply, for the heart. They promised to take me with them. Said, "Don't worry, Grandma, we'll handle everything." I believed them. I packed my things, just like they asked. I even took my old shoes, so there'd be no trouble with your feet. "Just wait here in the lounge, Nana. We'll come get you after check-in." I nodded. "Of course, dear." That's what you say when your son speaks to you in that rehearsed, overly patient tone they reserve for toddlers, the elderly, and dogs who just peed on the carpet. I sat where they told me to, next to a dusty fake ficus tree, wedged between a sobbing toddler and a flickering TV playing the Weather Channel on mute. It was 9:15 a.m. I waited. I had packed 3 days ago. Laid my clothes out like I used to when Adam had school trips. Tickets to Maui. Family trip of a lifetime, Lisa had said. Matching shirts. Hers read Mom on vacation, mine Grandma on island time in bright orange cursive. I hated it. I wore it anyway. Lisa had rolled her eyes at the airport when I pulled out my own snacks. It was at the security line where it started to feel off. Lisa checked her watch every few seconds. Adam was silent. The kids had their noses buried in phones. When TSA asked about seat arrangements, Lisa just said, "Oh, we'll figure that out later." That was the last time anyone made eye contact. Once we were past security, Lisa turned, flashed her tight, brittle smile. "Why don't you wait in the lounge, Mom? We're going to check the kids in, get the boarding passes sorted. It's easier this way. You deserve to relax. You've done so much." She patted my hand. Not a kind gesture. A dismissal. I sat. I watched them walk away. I waited. An hour passed. Then 2. I asked the desk to call Adam. Nothing. By hour 4, I stopped looking at the doors. People came. Flights were announced. A woman across from me ate a sandwich, made 2 phone calls, and left. I remained. At 5:03 p.m., I asked the clerk again. I gave Adam's full name. She typed, hesitated, looked up. "They checked into the 1:45 flight to Maui, ma'am." "That flight's already gone." I blinked. Asked her to repeat it. She did. Slower. Kinder. That was it. They left. Not by mistake. Not an accident. I knew my son. He could be cold. But careless? Never. I walked to the restroom, locked a stall, and sat. I didn't cry. I didn't have the strength. I just needed to sit where no one would ask if I was okay. When I came out, the terminal felt quieter, like the walls had absorbed my silence. The departure board glowed. Portland, 7:35 p.m. I don't know why I chose it. Maybe because it was far. Maybe because I hadn't seen it in 30 years. Maybe because it sounded like somewhere I hadn't been abandoned. "One way to Portland," I said to the clerk. She hesitated. "Return trip?" "No. Just one way." I paid with the card Adam didn't know about. The one I kept open before his wedding. Just enough for a flight, a few nights, and a start. I turned off my phone. No calls. No texts. Of course. I threw the Grandma on Island Time shirt into the trash. I boarded the plane. No one asked questions. No one looked twice. The city lights disappeared below me. 8 hours ago, I thought I was flying to paradise. Turned out, I was just getting left behind. But now I was going somewhere real. Somewhere they couldn't follow. I landed in Portland just after 10 p.m. The airport felt smaller than I remembered, or maybe I had just become smaller, curled in on myself under the weight of a day that had cracked something in me. I walked slowly, not because of my age, but because I no longer had any reason to hurry. No one was waiting for me. And this time, that felt like freedom. Outside, the air was wet and sharp. Recent rain. The scent of concrete and pine. I stood under the awning, breathing. No plans, no expectations. Just a night, and then, we'd see. I sat on a bench near the curb with my small suitcase, the one Adam had called too outdated, the brown leather one Derek gave me for our 25th anniversary. He would have laughed at all this. Not cruelly. Not surprised. Just one of those knowing, warm laughs of his. Well, honey, I could almost hear him say, "What did you expect?" I opened my wallet. 2 cards, an ID, $76 in cash, and a folded piece of paper with an address I hadn't used in over 50 years. 1849 Quinn Street. My first apartment with Derek after we married. I didn't even know why I brought it. I hailed a cab. The driver didn't talk. Thankfully. I wasn't in the mood to explain. I gave him the address of a budget motel I'd looked up back in Wilmington. Just in case. It wasn't fancy. Faded green paint, neon vacancy sign blinking like it was tired. I paid in cash, climbed the narrow stairs to room 207. The hallway smelled like bleach and tired stories. Inside, the room was small but clean, 1 bed, 1 chair, a TV bolted to the wall. I washed my face in the sink and lay down on top of the covers. The blanket scratched my arms. The silence didn't. I slept. Not well. But deep. No dreams. Just quiet. Morning came slow. I stood by the window of the motel room, looking down at a woman in a pink robe walking a dog. She looked about my age, maybe a little sturdier in the hips, maybe just more sure of where she was going. I brewed weak coffee in the tiny machine on the nightstand and sat in the stiff chair by the window, sipping slowly. No messages. No calls. I didn't check. I didn't want to. For the first time in decades, I didn't owe anyone my morning. At 9, I left the motel and started walking. My legs ached. My hip murmured. But I kept moving. A block away, there was a small bakery with a hand-painted sign in the window. Fresh rolls. Cash only. I stepped in. It smelled like butter and cinnamon. A woman behind the counter, maybe in her 50s, maybe older, hard to tell, gave me a smile that didn't ask anything. I handed her exact change for a warm roll. She said, "You're not from around here, are you?" I was. A long time ago. She nodded. Well, welcome back. I didn't know if I had come back. Or if I was just floating. I asked her if she knew where people posted housing listings. She pointed to a corkboard by the door. I walked over and scanned the notes. Dog walker needed. Piano lessons. Bike for sale. Then one caught my eye. Room for rent. For quiet woman. Private. Shared kitchen. No nonsense. No drama, $400 per month. Call Joyce. The handwriting was blocky and no nonsense, like someone who didn't want small talk. I took a photo of the number. Walked a few more blocks. Found a sunny bench in a park and dialed. A raspy voice answered. "Yeah. I'm calling about the room." Long pause. "How old are you?" 77. "You clean?" "Yes." "No boyfriends, right?" I laughed. "Not in decades." "All right. Come by at 4, 2185 East Stafford. Bring cash for the first week." Click. I wrote the address down on a napkin. At 4 p.m. sharp, I stood in front of a fading blue house with peeling steps and a wind chime that sounded like someone clinking old spoons. A woman opened the door with a cigarette in one hand and a cat twining around her ankles. "You the old broad?" she asked. "Guess I am," I said. She stepped aside. "Come in, then. Let's see if we can tolerate each other." Inside, it smelled like lavender and onions. Not bad. Just lived in. Joyce didn't wear shoes. Her hair was short and gray at the roots, dyed purple at the ends. She looked like someone who did what she wanted and didn't apologize. She led me past piles of books and a crocheted afghan on the arm of the couch. "Room's upstairs," she said. I followed her up creaky steps, hand on the rail. She opened the door at the end of the hall. Here. Small. Twin bed, old dresser, a window with soft golden light pouring in. A desk. A chair. "This'll do," I said. 100 a week. Cash only. No checks. No cards. No sob stories. She gave me a long look. "You don't seem like a sob story." "Not anymore," I said. She nodded. Shared kitchen. Bathroom at the end of the hall. No guests without warning. No noise. "You cause trouble, you go." Simple. "Crystal," I said. She handed me a key. "You hungry?" I could eat. She made grilled cheese and poured tomato soup from a pot. We ate in silence, the ceiling fan clicking above us. She didn't ask questions. Just said, "I hate eating alone." I understood that. I really did. That night, I unpacked. I hadn't brought much: 3 changes of clothes, my toothbrush, medications, and an old paperback I never finished. I placed everything carefully in the dresser. Folded each shirt like it mattered. Maybe it did. I lay down in the narrow bed. The mattress groaned, but it held me. I listened. Not to silence, but to the house. The ticking of a clock. Floorboards shifting under Joyce's steps. A distant one-sided conversation with her cat. I didn't turn on my phone. No one was calling. I knew that. In the morning, I woke before dawn. The air in the house felt cool and honest. I made coffee in the shared kitchen. Used 1 sugar. Just how I liked it. The kitchen already felt more like home than mine ever did. Maybe because nobody there looked through me unless they wanted something. Around 9, I went out again. I walked slow. The pain in my hip was still there, but it no longer felt like a warning. It felt like proof: "You're still moving." I passed a small café with a hand-lettered sign in the window. "Help wanted." "Morning shift. Apply inside." I stood there a long time. I hadn't worked in 15 years. But mornings weren't strange to me. Neither were coffee pots. I stepped inside. The smell of burnt toast and old hope. 3 bar stools. A chipped counter. Cracked red cushions. A young woman in an apron wiped down the counter. She looked up. "Can I help you?" "You're hiring?" Her eyebrows lifted, surprised. "You wanna apply?" "Yes." She called into the back. "Heather?" A stocky woman with a messy bun appeared, her name tag read Heather. She sized me up. "You got experience?" I took a breath. I raised 3 kids, ran a house for 50 years, can carry a tray, brew a pot, and I don't call in sick. She stared. Then shrugged. "Trial shift. Tomorrow. 6 to 11. Show up early. Don't be soft." "I'm not." She walked off. That was it. No resume. No background check. Just a chance. I walked home slowly, my heart doing strange things in my chest. That night, I ironed the 1 blouse I had left that still held its shape. I went to bed early. I stared at the ceiling a long time. It had been less than a week since the airport. Less than a week since my own family left me like forgotten luggage. But something had changed. I wasn't waiting anymore. I was going. I was starting. No one needed to know. Not yet. This quiet, unexpected life. It was mine now. I arrived at 5:45 a.m. 15 minutes early. The cafe still looked asleep, windows fogged, lights low. A man with thick glasses and a floral apron unlocked the door. He didn't say anything, just nodded once and shuffled back to the kitchen. Inside, the smell hit me: burnt toast, sour mop water, bacon grease. It smelled like mornings used to. At 5:58, Heather came in with a travel mug and a ring of keys on a rainbow lanyard. "You're early," she said. "Old habit." "Good. Clock in by writing your name on the pad." "We don't do tech." I smiled. "Even better." She tossed me an apron. Tuck your hair. Comfortable shoes? I nodded. They were old sneakers, but they'd survived PTA meetings, hospital floors, and 2 state fairs. They'd do. Coffee station's yours, Heather barked. Refill, wipe, keep it hot. Don't let it burn. No one likes bitter mornings. I nodded. The first customers came in before 6:10. 2 men in reflective vests, then a woman with a screaming baby. I moved on instinct. Refill, smile, wipe. When one of the men called me ma'am and asked for more sugar, I didn't flinch. The baby spit up. I handed the mother extra napkins without a word. At 7:30, the cafe was full. By 8:15, I was sweating. The coffee station became my post, my ritual. Wipe, pour, smile, nod. By 9 o'clock, my back ached and my legs screamed. But I didn't stop. At 10:45, Heather leaned over the counter. You all right? Still standing. You're hired. Pay's not great, but it's honest. Cash in envelope every Friday. I nodded. Didn't ask how much. I didn't care. I walked home slower. My feet throbbed. I didn't care. Joyce was in the kitchen, burning eggs. You look like hell, she said. I feel better than that, I answered. She grinned. Good. That means it's working. That night, I rubbed my knees with old menthol cream and sat at my little desk by the window. The sunlight hit just right on the edge of the notebook I hadn't touched in years. I opened it. Wrote the date. And under it, I made coffee today for 30 strangers. I remembered how to move, how to smile, how to stay upright when I wanted to lie down. I am sore. I am tired. I am alive. Then I closed it. And smiled. That Friday, after my second full shift, I came home with a paper envelope full of cash and the smell of bacon in my hair. My hands ached. I'd nicked my thumb on a coffee filter. I felt good. Bone-tired, but real. Joyce was at the kitchen table, working on a puzzle. She looked up. Still standing? I tossed the envelope on the table. Paid in full. She raised an eyebrow. Look at you. I opened the fridge. There was boxed wine and leftover pasta. You drink? She asked. I used to. Still want to? I nodded. She poured 2 glasses into mismatched mugs. We don't do fancy here, she said. We clinked ceramic. Drank. It tasted like pennies and peace. You got people? She asked, not looking up from the puzzle. Had a daughter. Still have. I guess. Guess. I stared at the wine. She changed the locks on me. Joyce stopped moving. Then nodded, once. I got a son. Haven't seen him since he was 23. Said I was poison. I didn't say anything. Didn't need to. She pushed the puzzle box toward me. You can help. Or not. I sat down. Picked up a corner piece. The wine buzzed gently in my veins. What did you do? She asked. I was a mother. That all? Apparently that was too much. Joyce didn't laugh. Just placed a blue sky piece and said, Some people want saints. They don't know what saints cost. We sat there a long time. At some point she said, You're not as broken as you think. I didn't answer. But I believed her. For the first time in years. I really did. It came on a Tuesday, 2 weeks after I started working. My phone had been off since I landed. I didn't miss it. That morning, I plugged it in. I don't know why. Curiosity, maybe. Or loneliness, disguised as curiosity. The screen blinked on. One message. From Mara. Just 5 words. Hope you're settled. Take care. That was it. No love, Mom. No apology. No address. No request. Just a sentence with its back turned. I stared at it for a long time. Then I did what I never thought I would. I didn't reply. I turned off the phone again. Not in anger. Not even in pain. Just in acceptance. I had always been the one reaching. For birthdays. For holidays. For connection. Now I realized she only reached when she wanted distance. So I let her have it. For the first time, I didn't chase love. I let it leave. The cafe became my rhythm. Mornings at 6. Burnt toast. Coffee grounds under my nails. My feet hurt less. My smile came easier. I learned the regulars. Old Bill, who brought his own mug. Karen, who ordered tea but really came to talk. The twins who never tipped, but always said thank you. I started calling the line cook captain. He said, "Why?" I said, "Because you steer the ship." He liked that. Called me boss after that. We were all broken in some way. But together, in the mornings, we made something that worked. And then he started showing up. Always around 7:10. Same seat. End of the counter. Gray hair, kind eyes, quiet voice. He ordered black coffee and oatmeal. No sugar. No milk. Said thank you like it mattered. Like he meant it. The second day, he nodded at me. The third, he asked how my morning was. The fourth, he brought in the paper and said, "You can read it first if you want." I laughed. "You think I have time to read?" He smiled. "Then I'll read it aloud to you." He didn't, of course. But the offer hung in the air like the smell of cinnamon. One day, I asked his name. "Henry." "I'm Marie." "I know." "You do?" "It's written on your name tag." I laughed, despite myself. "Do you come here often?" I asked. "Only when I'm hoping the coffee is made by someone who cares." I blushed. And didn't know why. He didn't ask questions. Didn't dig. Just sat there each morning, same seat, same meal. One day he brought me a muffin in a paper bag. "Blueberry," he said. They looked lonely on the shelf. I took it. "Thanks. You look like someone who deserves something sweet now and then." He said it simply. Not like a flirt. Not like a line. Just gently. That day, I wrote in my notebook. Someone gave me a muffin today. Just because. No reason. No price. No angle. I almost forgot that kind of kindness existed. Then I added, "I think I'm remembering who I am." The cafe closed on Sundays. First time I had a day off in weeks. I woke up early anyway. My body, still tied to the rhythm of early mornings, didn't ask permission. It was quiet. Not the heavy, suffocating silence of the past. But a soft kind. The kind that lets your shoulders drop. Joyce was asleep. Her cat was curled beside the heater, tail twitching in a dream. I made tea. No one asked me for anything. No timers. No orders. No faces in need of napkins or warmth. Just the hiss of water, the whistle of the kettle. I sat by the window and wrote. It's Sunday. I am still. I am whole. I am not being pulled apart by anyone's needs today. I am enough, even in this silence. Then I closed the notebook and stared at the street. A boy on a bike rode past. A woman walked her dog. Nothing extraordinary. But for the first time, I wasn't desperate to matter. I didn't need to be useful to feel real. I just was. And that was enough. The sky opened up in the late afternoon. Rain came in sheets, relentless and cold. I watched from the cafe window, feeling the first chill of autumn. The streets emptied quickly, umbrellas popped up like mushrooms, people rushing for shelter. Henry stepped inside, shaking water from his coat. "Hope I'm not disturbing," he said, settling at the counter. I smiled. He always had that way, a calm that pulled the chaos closer to order. We talked over coffee, the rain pattering on the roof like a gentle drum. No rush, no need. Just two people sharing a quiet moment. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel the weight of the world pressing down. Sometimes, a simple cup of coffee and rain outside are all the peace you need. The days after the rain brought a strange kind of clarity. The air was crisp, the sky a clean, unblemished blue. Leaves on the trees seemed brighter, almost glowing with the fresh light of a new season. I found myself walking more often, wandering through familiar streets that suddenly looked different, like I was seeing them for the first time. The coffee shop was still my refuge, but now it felt less like an escape and more like a place to breathe. Henry kept coming by, each time staying a little longer. We talked about everything and nothing, plans, dreams, regrets. His presence was a steady warmth against the cool autumn breeze. One afternoon, he surprised me with a small, worn notebook. "I want you to have this," he said, sliding it across the table. "It's filled with my sketches and thoughts. Maybe it will inspire you." I opened it carefully. The pages were filled with drawings, cityscapes, faces, fragments of stories. His handwriting was neat, almost meditative. That night, I started to write again. Words spilled onto the page, raw and urgent. The stories I'd buried deep inside were finally finding a way out. Writing felt like breathing, necessary and life-giving. I realized then that this was a new beginning. Not just for my stories, but for me. Evening was settling slowly, painting the sky in shades of pink and deep purple. The narrow city streets were bathed in the soft glow of street lamps, casting long shadows across the cobblestones. The air carried the scent of autumn leaves and freshly brewed coffee, which I still held in my hands. Henry sat beside me, wrapped in his favorite gray sweater, a little worn but warm, much like him. His eyes sparkled faintly in the dim light as he spoke about his travels, distant cities, strange people, and chance encounters that had changed his perspective on life. I listened, staring down at the small notebook he had given me a few days ago. At first glance, it looked ordinary, a worn-out notebook with a cardboard cover. But inside was an entire universe of his thoughts, sketches, and ideas he had carefully jotted down over the past months. On one page, I found a sketch, a silhouette of a person standing at the edge of the world, wings spread wide behind them. Next to it, written in tiny handwriting, was a note. "Sometimes, to fly, you first have to fall." Those words pierced me deeply. "Henry," I whispered, "are you afraid of falling?" He smiled, running his fingers through his light brown hair, slightly tousled by the wind. "Yes, I am. But I know there's no flight without falling. Sometimes, you just have to let go of fear and trust." His voice was soft but certain. I looked at him and realized, here was the person who helped me find strength again. That night, I sat down at my writing desk once more. The lamp's warm light illuminated my hand, while my mind spun with countless thoughts finally forming into sentences. The stories that had silently lived in my heart for years were now whispering, demanding to come into the light. I wrote until my fingers cramped and my thoughts transformed into vivid images. Every line was like a breath of fresh air, every word a small step toward a new life. Time has passed since that first meeting in the cafe, where I accidentally met Henry. At first, he seemed like just another customer, but he became so much more, a friend, someone I could talk to about life, share my thoughts and dreams with. Henry is a man with a warm heart and kind eyes, someone who understands that true value lies in the simple things. We talked a lot about the past, about what was, and what might still come. He often listened to my stories, and I listened to his. Those conversations became a true gift for me. Working at the cafe taught me many things: patience, attentiveness to people, and the ability to notice what's not immediately visible. And it was right there, among cups of coffee and quiet talks, that life unexpectedly gave me this friendship. I am grateful that fate brought us together. And though our paths still run side by side for now, I believe there are many more pleasant moments ahead that we will share. Life goes on, and every new day I look forward with hope and warmth in my heart. As for my children, I found the strength to forgive them. Life is too short to hold on to old wounds, and I realized that forgiveness frees the heart more than anything else. Though we had our struggles and misunderstandings, I still love them deeply, and I hope they understand my feelings too. Time will heal what was broken. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any new interesting videos and stories. Your likes and comments really help and motivate me to create more content. Thank you for your support.